Hello and welcome to another episode of Plugged In from YAA Electric. My name is Justin Fisher, joined once again by the awesome Justice. It's the Justin and Justice show. Once again, here we are in early November 2022. And Justice, you and I are going to be talking about the best and worst electric vehicles right now. We've got a few that are almost here that we already consider to be trash. So we'll
Yeah.
be talking about that. But yeah, this is a really important question because we have so many people reaching out to us wondering which electric vehicles are worth their time and money. Time, because often you got to spend quite a bit of time shopping around to find one that's not marked up by $10,000. I went through that process myself buying my Ionic 5. Some days I think should have just bought a Tesla, but we'll get into that. All right. Thank you, everyone who's with us live in the chat. Appreciate you being here. Love to hear what your favorite and worst electric vehicles are, whether they're 2023 models or something that you see coming down the road. Right behind me on the green screen, I've got the Kia EV9, a 3-row electric SUV. So we're going to be diving into this right now. Justice, I'm going to kick it off with the worst EVs on the market today, and I'm going to let you know why. I'm not just going to call them out. I'm going to try to back it up with the receipts, okay? Number one on the list, the GMC Hummer EV. Now, are you surprised that I picked the Hummer? I'm guessing you're not.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Uh, do you remember how much the Hummer weighs? We'll talk about why that matters. Do you remember how much it weighs?
It's a lot. I don't remember how much it was.
9,000 pounds. That is
That just sounds like a made up, exaggerated number.
that is over
To
2
say it.
Ionic 5s. Yeah. Now here's why the weight matters, okay? We're not just weight shaming the Hummer EV, okay? It's all about efficiency, all right? Now, my
Yeah.
Ionic 5, it's a crossover slash hatchback, but it really feels more like an SUV with that spacious interior. It's got a 72.5 kilowatt hour usable battery pack. And with that, I get 256 miles of range. The Hummer EV is so massive that, check it out, it's massive, that it requires a 212 kilowatt hour battery pack to go 329 miles. Now, you do the math. Yeah, it's got better range, but that is horrible efficiency because it's so massive. And for someone like me, I do care about the environmental impacts of my transportation modes. And I do care about building a sustainable path forward as we electrify transportation. The Hummer EV is horrible for the environment and it's expensive. I mean, that's not really a surprise. It
Yeah.
goes for roughly 100 grand. Now, do you agree with me here, Justice? Is this on your list of the worst EVs?
It might be. I mean, I'm. Of course it is. Of course it is. I have it starting at 118,000 with any real option. So I mean,
uh,
come on,
yeah,
that's ridiculous.
that is ridiculous. Next up on the list, we've got something that you guys might not have really expected. It's a Mazda. I don't know if everyone really is aware that Mazda has a fully electric vehicle on sale in the United States right now, but they do. I believe it's in select markets only, hint California. But
Yeah.
why do I really, really hate the Mazda MX-30? It's because it's the last compliance EV on the market today. It is it's got 100 miles of range, not like 150, 100. So it might be good for around town, but you're never going to be able to take that outside of California, outside of the LA area, the larger cities where you live up in the north, Justice. You're going to be pretty restricted to just urban driving. There's a use case for that, and I'm aware of that. But when you're spending $35,000 base price for the MX-30, for 35 grand, I'd want to be able to take my vehicle outside of the city, if I ever want to go anywhere. So, no cross country vacations in the MX-30. But
Well, in fairness, you could drive it from one end of California to the other. You would just add an awful lot of time to your already long trip. So
that is
instead of
true.
14 hours, it would probably take you closer to 20.
That is true. Yes. It charges slow too. So it's not
Yeah.
just 100 miles of range. It also charges really slow. Don't go for the Mazda MX-30. If you love Mazdas, I think they've got some great combustion
Oh,
options out there. Wait a few years. Mazda is looking to revise their EV strategy. Next up on my list, the Mini Hardtop Electric. I know YAA's Ray Shefska loves Mini. Didn't he used to like manage a dealership, right?
Yep,
Just
you
yep.
did. You did.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what he would think about me throwing the Mini hardtop electric on the list of worst EVs in 2022. I don't know. Got to watch out for that hate mail from Ray. Not sure. Why is it on the list? Similarly, it only gets 110 miles of EPA rated range for $34,000 starting price. Typically, it's only sold in the California market, but still, if you're spending $34,000, I would go for a traditional hybrid, or dare I say, a more efficient combustion powered vehicle if you're going to do any traveling at all. Okay. 110 miles for 34,000. That doesn't cut it for me. Next on my list, Justice, and then I look forward to getting to your list of the worst EVs coming up soon, you guys. I almost didn't put this one on here. Okay. I almost didn't put it on the list because there are some reasons why I do like the 2023 Kia Niro EV. Think it looks good. However, it's the slow charging and the price. The Kia Niro EV does not start at quite as an affordable of a price point as its sibling, the Hyundai Kona EV. They're both last generation electric vehicles. However, the Hyundai version starts more at a more affordable price point. The Kia Niro EV starts at about 40 grand. When you're talking $40,000 for an electric vehicle, you should expect to get better than 75 kilowatt max charging speeds. That's going to mean you're going to have to sit around at the charger for about 50 minutes, sometimes an hour to gain 200, 220 miles of driving range. That doesn't cut it for a family. I've got a 6-year-old. I wouldn't want to be sitting around for an hour if I just spent $40,000 on the Kia Niro. But otherwise, it's got a decent range. It's got a great range, over 250 miles of range. If only it charged faster or if it was more affordable. That's really
Yeah.
what I think. And then last on my list, once again, almost didn't put it on this list. It's the Nissan Leaf. Now, here was the tiebreaker for me, if whether or not I should put it on the list of worst EVs. I like it because it's affordable, starting around 30 grand. However, not only does it charge very slow, like the Chevy Bolt, which isn't on my list, it has the CHAdeMO charging port. What's the technical term for that? Charging connector, charge port. I should know this. I'm the EV guy.
Yeah, I would just
Charge
call
port.
it charging
It's
port.
got
Yeah.
CHAdeMO. Okay,
So,
what
yeah.
is that? It's the outdated charging standard that was popular when the Nissan Leaf introduced it back in the early 2010s. However, now in 2022, going into the new model year, the Nissan Leaf is the only one with the CHAdeMO standard, and that means anytime you're traveling in an electric vehicle with the Nissan Leaf, you need to hope that it's going to have a CHAdeMO charge port for you to connect to, or you're going to have to haul an adapter around. And in 5 years' time, the resale value of your Nissan Leaf with an outdated charging standard is probably going to be taking a significant hit as everyone else transitions
Yeah.
to CCS and the Tesla connector. So, Nissan Leaf, it's affordable, range is okay, charges slow, but it's that CHAdeMO connector that broke the deal for me. Now, Justice, let's dive into your list of the worst.
Well, I think the list is going to be somewhat familiar
Okay.
since since we just chose our own independently from each other. So
Yeah, we're
yeah.
comparing. We
So
we don't have an agenda here.
no, we don't. But we did. We also did not coordinate our lists with each other. So I think there's some repeats here.
It's all right.
Um, so for me, on number 5, I think I have it pulled up here. I'm going to share it. Is the Kia Niro EV.
Okay.
So same thing. 240-mile range, $40,000. Not just not in there for me. I've test driven one. It was very. It's a nice way to put it. Base feeling, as well. So for 40,000, I think there are a lot of other better options out there.
Yeah, it feels like an appliance. I know what you mean. I've also
Yeah.
test-driven
Yeah.
one. You've got the previous model year pulled up,
Yeah.
but, oh, what's next?
Yeah. Oh, and then so number 4, I have the Mini SE. Even Ray, I did talk to Ray when this came out. I said, okay, you say you're not going to go for EV, but what about a Mini? He basically laughed me off the show when I brought it up. So
Oh,
even Ray's like, no, no, not that one. Not at a. I have it at a rated at 114 miles range, so four more than you had. But yeah, for $30,000, 114-mile range, it's a no go.
yeah, I would agree. That's a no go.
Yeah. So number three for me is surprisingly the Mazda MX-30. Now, I am a huge Mazda fan. I love Mazdas. I think they're one of the most underrated car companies out there, but their EV is laughable.
Yeah, it's a joke.
Um, compliance, yeah, at best, it's compliance.
I
It
don't think it
barely
looks
even
bad.
meets compliance. No, it doesn't look bad. The feel when you get in it, it's kind of nice. Like I have no problem with the design of it, the feel of it. It's just, 100-mile range for $34,000. No way. It's
Yeah,
just, it's a no go. And I don't, we call it compliance, but I don't know what we're trying to comply with at 100-mile range. That
yeah,
seems like the standard needs to be higher than that now.
yeah. Clean vehicle sales quotas, but I get your point. Yeah,
Yeah. So
just pay Tesla, right? Just pay Tesla.
yeah, yeah, come on. But number two, the Hummer, of course. Like I said, I priced it out 118,000, but good luck finding that, as Igor has said in the chat, and a few others. It's like $250,000 is what they're actually going for. Um, it's super inefficient. I am not a fan of the design of it. That's just a personal thing. Um, so 320 miles, 329 miles is a decent range, but not for the battery pack that it has. That weight just ruins it. It's rugged, but it doesn't make any sense to me. And my number one, the only one you didn't have on your list, is the Cadillac Celestiq.
Let's talk about that. Yeah, I'd like to know what
Yeah.
your thoughts are on the Celestiq.
Well, it gets 300 miles, which is great, and you only pay $100,000 a mile, or for every 100 miles. Sorry. So yeah, it's a $300,000 vehicle. It's a little sedan. You can see there, four-door sedan. It is longer than the Cadillac Escalade.
Wow.
So it's just really weird, long. I love weird looking vehicles, but that's just too ugly for me. I can't do that. The price doesn't make sense for what you're getting into it. I understand they want to go top end, and they're calling these handmade, which I also don't know what that means. How much if you machine it?
Yeah, I
Like,
don't know if I want my $350,000 EV to be handmade.
yeah, I don't really understand that. Like, I know they want to break it back into their Cadillac market, that era they had. But I think this is a misstep into that direction. You're competing with Rolls Royce and Bentley, not other manufacturers. So this is a huge miss to me. I don't think, I mean, it's not meant to sell huge numbers anyway, but I just don't think you're going to see a lot of pickup on that.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder what their strategy is behind that because GM really has invested so many billions of dollars in electrification and they've got some awesome products coming out powered by the Ultium electric platform. You're going to get faster charging than the F-150 Lightning in the Silverado EV. The Cadillac Lyriq has just started deliveries, although at small numbers. The Equinox EV, I say all the time, the Equinox and the Blazer electric vehicles are going to be really the volume vehicles of 2023 once they start deliveries in late 2023. That could literally be as common as Chevy Bolts on the road, if not as common as a combustion RAV4 5 years from now, if they can make enough of them. Now, when it comes to
Yeah.
the Celestiq, it's like a whole nother ball game. It's like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Trying to compete with Rolls Royce? I'd buy a Rolls Royce in a heartbeat rather than a GM built vehicle. But that's just me. I mean,
Yeah, and it's very, very similarly priced too. And the Rolls Royce looks better. The Rolls
uh,
Royce EV.
I think everyone, I don't know, not everyone, but let us know in the chat. Do you think Rolls-Royce's EV concept or the Cadillac Celestiq looks better? Um, I don't know if we can pull up a picture that quick, but Rolls-Royce EV concept, I'm going to try to get that pulled up. I want to know what you guys in the chat are thinking. Celestique or Rolls Royce? Here we go. Got an image coming. Um, to me, it's a no brainer. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
I
So
agree. I agree.
here we go. We got some pictures. What do you think? Celestique or Rolls Royce? Let us know in the chat. But were there any models that didn't quite? Well, by the way, you'd have to be able to afford them. So assume that for those of you in the chat, okay? Assume you could afford it. Money was not an issue.
Yeah.
Cars were free. Which would you pick? But were there any that almost made your list that didn't for the worst? I've got one, but I'll get into that in a minute.
Oh, I had the BZ4X that was teetering there, and I had the Kona that
Ah,
was
yes.
teetering there.
BZ4X, same for me. I was almost going to put that on the list, but I guess I have hope that their electric platform will be worth something now that the stop sale is over. But yeah, the BZ4X, why do Justice and I not like it? At least I think you don't like it, Justice. It's because it charges really slow if you go with the all-wheel drive variant, and all indications are that Toyota is going to be sending a lot of the all-wheel drive variant to the North American market. So it's going to be pretty hard to get the quicker charging, longer range, rear wheel drive Toyota BZ4X. Therefore, you're going to be buying a 2023 electric vehicle for about $45,000, maybe more if you go for the higher spec options, and you're still going to be waiting around at a charger for about 50 minutes in the BZ4X all-wheel drive. That just doesn't cut it for me. Honestly, you're making me think I should have
Yeah.
put it on my list.
Yeah, it's they have fixed the issues and they're starting to sell them again, and so that wasn't it. It was the specs on it, and honestly, Toyota, like, come on, you have a name and a reputation, and this vehicle does not meet that at all.
Yeah, I'd wait for the next generation of
Yeah.
Toyota EVs. I'd love a Tacoma EV version. That would be
I
awesome.
I think they just need to electrify their current lineup. I would love to see what everyone asks me for.
Yeah.
They say, I want a Highlander, but in an EV. What are my options? I'm like, well, there aren't any, but sure would be nice if the Highlander was an EV.
Yes, indeed. Moving on to the best electric vehicles in
Uh,
2022. Starting with my list first, and then Justice will get to your list. Thank you for letting me go first. The Model 3. Now, here's why I placed the Model 3 first on my list. It's because for $46,000 and some change, a lot, more like 48 grand once you include destination fees, you can get 272 miles of range with the rear wheel drive variant, access to Tesla's supercharger network. That's the big one for me, okay? Because charging is a non-issue if you go with the Tesla. And you get an EV that is basically proven on the road. So you're not going to be buying something that you have no idea how reliable it is. You don't know how long the battery is going to last. Because I'm aware, buying the Ioniq 5 myself, there are quite a bit of unknowns with the eGMP platform. I'm not quite sure what battery degradation is going to be like 100,000 miles down the road. There are some unknowns, but with Teslas, we've seen time and time again, they are reliable electric vehicles, not to mention that they come with the standard autopilot, which is quite impressive, right? I don't personally recommend spending $15,000 on full self-driving beta right now. There is going to be a subscription model. Is that already begun, Justice?
yeah,
Okay.
you can get the subscription model.
I
I
think
still
that's
wouldn't get it.
yeah. It's
Not right
still
now.
a science experiment on wheels, right? And I'm personally
Yeah.
not too into that. But if you're looking for electric mobility in a sedan at under 50 grand, the Model 3 is my pick. Second on my list, not surprisingly, and don't worry, my list is not all Teslas. This is the last one. It's the Model Y. I do love the Model Y. I am not ashamed to say it. I almost bought one, but we can get into why I went with the Ioniq 5 later. The Model Y starts at a higher price point, but you get more for the money. It's much larger interior volume. It's a larger vehicle overall, more suitable for families. So you're looking at about $66,000. It's not cheap, but starting in 2023, as long as you stay below that $80,000 price cap and fall within the income limits, the Model Y will qualify for EV tax credits once again here in the United States. It's been, well, the Model Y has never qualified because it was, started production long after Tesla had expired its $200,000 sale cap.
Yeah.
I love the Model Y. I've test driven them like, I don't know, 10 times. I'm a big fan. Third on my list of best EVs in 2022, it's my own Ioniq 5. Justice, you can't be surprised to hear me say that.
No, I'm surprised it's in the middle of the pack, but I'm not
Yeah.
surprised that it's on your list.
Yeah, it would be at the top of the pack if charging an Ioniq 5 was as easy as charging a Model Y. That's just plain and simple because I love the ride quality. I even love the way they engineered the acceleration into the vehicle. There are so many aspects of the driving experience of the Ioniq 5 that I actually like more than the Model Y, and I'm being honest. And it starts at a much more affordable price point. Okay, here I have an image pulled up of the Ioniq 5N. That is pretty awesome. Oh man. Somebody want to buy me an Ioniq 5N when it comes out next year? Can't imagine how awesome that would be. But the price point, starting around $42,000. However, more realistically, considering what's available here in North America, and not to mention 95% of dealers are throwing markups onto these Ioniq 5s. You're going to be starting closer to 50 grand. And if you go for a limited version, it could be around 60 grand. But considering what you get, panoramic glass roof, beautiful interior, um, HDA2, which is kind of like their autopilot. There are so many features that I love about the Ioniq 5 that to me make it a great value, even if you end up paying between 50 and 60 grand. However, I would not recommend paying 70 grand. And I've seen some dealers marking them up that high. That's
Yep.
unbelievable. What's the most expensive Ioniq 5 you've seen in your market, just anecdotally?
Well, I don't know my market. Most of the people I deal with are out of California,
Okay,
but
well, then nationwide. Have you heard
I
anyone?
had a $35,000 markup was the largest I'd seen personally.
35,000?
$35,000 markup.
Holy crap.
So I was just like, I just laughed. I was like, why would you, why would you be considering this?
Yeah, if you're looking for some if you want to harness the power of the crowd, okay? Crowdsourcing EV deals. We try our best over at the joinyaa.com community forum. It's free. You can join and talk about buying an EV, buying a hybrid, buying a plug-in hybrid with other EV nerds, or if you're a newbie and you're just thinking about going electric, we'd love to have you there. Lots to talk about, lots to learn. Next on my list, the EV6. Not going to say a lot about it. Why? Because it's the Kia sibling to the Ioniq 5. They share the eGMP platform. It gets about 300 miles of range. That's impressive. Starts at about the same price point, $42,000, give or take. More realistically, once again, closer to 50 grand. But that 800-volt architecture that the Ioniq 5 and Model Y share, I'm sorry, Ioniq 5 and EV6 share, gives it really, really fast charging. Justice, I've told you time and time again that I actually have proven at charging stations, Electrify America, that it really charges in about 20 minutes from 10 to 80%.
Yep.
That's impressive. However, in the winter, it's a bit slower, but don't tell anyone, okay? It's I still like to have my charging bragging rights, but in the winter, it's been more like 30 minutes instead of 20 minutes.
Which is odd because I've never noticed a difference here in the winter.
Hmm,
Maybe it's
interesting.
because it's never below 70 degrees.
Yeah, could be, could be. Kind of, I would say I'm jealous, but you know what? I like having four seasons. I have a
No,
ski resort down the road, beautiful fall colors in October, and in the summer, it only gets to like 80 degrees here, so I'm not jealous, Justice.
yeah, no, I hear that a lot. The people who love their four seasons out here in California, we just chose the best two seasons and we just go with those.
That is funny. Love it. Last on my list, the ID4, specifically the US built Volkswagen ID4. They now build them in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I almost didn't put it on the list because there's a lot of controversy around how Volkswagen's engineers have been treating the whole infotainment system, whether or not they've just abandoned it. Some say it's a lost cause. The infotainment system on the ID4 is nothing like what you'd find in a Tesla. And honestly, I've experienced it. It's nothing like what you'd find in an Ioniq 5 or EV6, but it's livable. Like it's workable. You can deal with it, especially if you can find one of these ID4s at about 40 grand. I'm talking like actual price, 40 grand without markups. There's now a $38,000 variant new for the 2023 model year that is built in Chattanooga. It only gets 208 miles of range, but at least it's not 110 like we saw in some of those on our worst list, right?
Yeah.
Um, Charging is okay. The charging capabilities of the ID4 are nothing to write home about, but they're good enough. Like charge times around 30 minutes, 35 minutes to gain about 180 miles of range. But it does qualify for the tax credit starting in 2023. So I look forward to that as well. That's my list of the best EVs. Let's move on to yours, Justice.
Yeah. So ironically, I think we have less crossover on our best than we did
Okay.
on our worst. Our
Hmm.
worst is was almost identical, but our best I have different. So for me, number five, the Fisker Ocean. Saw this at the LA Auto Show last year. Yeah, it's going to be a little expensive. So 70,000, 69,000, but 340-mile range. It's a really nice vehicle. Felt really nice inside. So I'm pulling for Fisker. I really like this one. Good charging speed. I don't remember the charging speed. I don't know if you remember, but it's a decent, it's a really decent vehicle, and I think it's going to be very popular, especially out here on the coast.
Yes, I agree. I'm gonna pull up that charging speed. Uh, it says DC fast charging up to 350 kilowatts.
Uh,
I am skeptical.
yeah,
I see per a rumor the Ocean can be charged at about 250 kilowatts. That would be more real
that
world, and
seems
that's
more.
impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be impressive. So that would be like a 20, 30-minute charge time as well.
yeah. So number four on my list. Oops, number four on my list is the Kia EV6. So, for all the reasons you've already mentioned, I really like this vehicle. I think it's going to do really well. 43,000 with 310-mile range. It's a good price point to really get out there and compete. I think this is going to be one of the hottest cars in 2023. I really do. I think that's what we're really
If they
looking at.
can make more of them.
Yes. Well, yeah. I think the wait list is going to be long almost immediately.
Yeah,
Um,
they haven't been able to ship very many of
yeah.
them. Oh, Rivian.
Then, yeah, my number three, the Rivian R1S. I think it's going to outsell the R1T, no problem. I know the reservations are already huge for this. 78,000, according to Rivian, is their starting price with 320 miles, but it is a good SUV out there. You know, it does everything the R1T does, and then you get the enclosed SUV part of it. I think it's going to be absolutely a killer out there and going to keep Rivian on the map. I know they've been struggling a lot lately, but I think this helps solve some of their struggles.
Yes, I agree. I love it. I wish I could afford that. That's a nice
Yeah.
three-row SUV.
And then number two, talking about I wish I could afford it, um, the Lucid Air Sapphire, the
Looks
200 and
looks nice.
yeah, $250,000. So a
Whoa, I
little
didn't know it
bit,
was that much. I thought it was
yeah,
like 150, 250?
no, no, it's $249,000.
Wow.
Yeah, lots of extra features on it. 600-mile range, faster than the Model S Plaid. Um, Lots of great features on it. It's going to be a very, very nice luxury car. But yeah, you're talking $250,000. So you're getting back up to competing with the Rolls Royce and the again though Lucid Air over the Cadillac any day, any and every day.
Wow.
Lucids have great build quality, something that's Tesla struggles with. They're very, very nice and luxurious on the inside. I've driven an Air, not a Sapphire, and it was absolutely one of my favorite cars, which for the price it better be.
Yeah,
And then,
I
of
agree.
course, for me, which comes to no surprise, I did try to keep Tesla off my list because I know everyone thinks I'm just a Tesla fanboy. But number one, the Tesla Cybertruck. That's
Defend it, back it up 'cause, we got a lot of haters out there.
yeah, I mean, look, I get the looks aren't for everybody, just for those with exquisite taste. Um, I love the look of it. I think the Cybertruck is great. The specs on it are amazing. Um, Elon sort of hinted that they're still going to be in that 40,000 mile base range or
Oh,
$40,000.
$40,000.
Yeah, not 40,000
I don't believe
miles.
it, but continue.
But yeah, I have my reservations. If that's Elon money, so that was translate to about $65,000.
I
That
think
seems
that's where
about
we'll
right. Yeah,
land. Yeah.
yeah. So 40,000 in Elon money, about 65,000 in regular money. They're supposed to mass produce by the end of next year. We've already seen some photos of them producing some now. They are still saying it's going to be a 500-mile range
Hmm.
on it. So very
So
high
big battery pack.
range. Yeah, big battery pack, but high range for these trucks. Towing capacity is going to be through the roof. And just on a personal note, if you see, right there, it has been 997 days since I ordered my Cybertruck. Today
That's
is
oh,
997 days.
wow.
So I'm waiting. I have not gotten an email for my build or anything yet. Actually, I think they said they're not going to build the model I reserved.
What
But
was the reserve deposit, or was there one?
yeah, it was just $100 though. It was
Wonder
nothing.
what your return would have been if you had invested $100 997 days ago. I don't know.
So I'm still waiting, but yeah, that's my number one looking forward to vehicle. Um, I like a lot of the changes they've come out with. I was not a fan of the marble dashboard. Now they've sort of gotten away from that. So um, adding the swivel screen and things, I think it's going to be the truck to beat in
Hmm.
2023.
I hope they find a way to make it more efficient than the Hummer EV because I
Yeah.
think I would have a lot of the same complaints I had about the Hummer. Although I do think the Cybertruck looks way cooler and it's built by Tesla. Some runner-ups that didn't quite make it on my list. I just got two to go over quickly, and then we'll wrap this up. The Mustang Mach-E. I'm a big fan of the
No.
Mustang Mach-E. It almost ended up on my list of favorites. It was nowhere close to ending up on the worst list, okay? But it was almost on my favorites. Why was it not on the list? There's one simple reason. I think the EV6 and Ionic 5 kind of kicked it off the list. Like the Mustang Mach-E would have been number 6, and I wanted to stick to 5 good ones, 5 horrible ones. But why did the EV6 and Ionic 5 kick it off the list? Because they charge way faster at about the same price point. Ever since Ford raised the price of the Mustang Mach-E up to a starting price pre-markup, pre-dealer markup of about 48 grand, I think it lost some of its appeal. I still think it looks great. It's got a great interior, but if you can buy an Ionic 5 or EV6 that charges a whole lot quicker, it's got a better charging curve, not just a peak charging speed, then I would go for those two. The other one that was almost on my list, it was almost on both lists. That's weird, right? It was almost on the best and the worst. It's the Bolt. The Bolt charges
Yeah.
really slow.
Yeah.
The Bolt charges really slow, and that's kind of why I was just really turned off. But it's affordable. It's the most affordable EV on the market. It is. So it's value when it comes to great range, like what 240 miles, give or take, with the Chevy Bolt at a low price point, starting under 30 grand if you can find a dealer who will sell you one at that price point. However, it takes about an hour to gain 200 miles of range, and that's why I was just like, not today, not today, Chevy Bolt. Were there any others you wanted to mention, Justice, before we go?
Well, yeah, other than the Model 3, which almost made my list, I also had the Mach-E, but I had a more personal reason for not
Okay,
putting it on my
let's
list.
hear it.
And that is, I am still to this day offended that they call it a Mustang.
Okay, that
That,
yeah, I agree
that,
with you there.
that is not a Mustang. I have owned 8 Mustangs in my life. I love the Mustang and I love the Mach-E, but the
Mm.
Mach-E is not a Mustang. Stop calling it that.
What if they gave it like another horse related name, like the Ford
Uh,
Stallion?
yeah, call it the Pinto Mach-E.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Palomino.
Yeah, I did, truly got offended that they called it a Mustang. Thought they were just sort of ripping off on the name because it's not a Mustang. I would love an actual real Mustang EV. I think that would be amazing, and I would probably run out and buy one even over a Tesla. But but that one's not a Mustang to me. So
Well, in my humble opinion, I'm gonna wrap up this show with the one thing that really was a disgrace to the Mustang brand during the marketing campaign for the Ford Mustang Mach-E. Here it is, sharing my screen. Ford literally did this.
yeah,
They stuffed the front trunk of a Mustang Mach-E with actual shrimp on the Ford website, Ford.com, to market the storage capabilities of the Mustang Mach-E. That is a disgrace to the Mustang name.
yeah, the whole yeah.
Yeah.
Mustang does not belong on that vehicle. It just and that is the dumbest marketing campaign because they've done the tests on that cooler. It doesn't hold up for very long. You
Well,
could put a Yeti cooler in there and it'll hold up much better.
thank you so much for joining me today for this list of the best and worst EVs, Justice. I think it's going to help a lot of prospective buyers out there. If you've got more questions, join us at the Electric Vehicle Forum over at joinyaa.com. It's the fastest growing EV community on the internet. I mean, we've got thousands of members. It's blown my mind how quickly we've grown. So I look forward to seeing more of you there. Justice and I are there every day, talking to you guys, helping you figure out which EV might be best for your lifestyle, your budget, etc. So we'll see you guys on Friday.
Yep.
Yeah.
See
Thank you so
everyone on
much,
Friday.
Justice.